I have you here,
So
Mom.
you want me to come off?
No, no, no. I've already started.
Okay. So
so, so today's topic
have
is
you recorded the previous one?
I'm just gonna start again. So I'm starting a new
Okay.
video, and you're still on the air.
Okay.
And hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, everybody loved this finding love, and the question on everybody's mind. I've invited my famous mother, Cynthia Ellis Topsy, to discuss with us from our hearts. Finding love. Is he or she the one? That was the big question, Mom. Like, how do you know when somebody's the one? And so I actually wrote down some points from my own experience
Okay.
that I wanted to share, and I guess you can comment, or I can comment and you can share on these points, or if you want to add something. So the first point, like we talked about this the last time a little bit. It takes two amazing people to have an amazing relationship, and I just spoke about,
Okay.
yeah, okay, you can't expect to have an amazing relationship with somebody who is not amazing in your eyes, or if you're not amazing, because there's something about having that character and that level of integrity, that grace, that virtuousness, that makes the relationship so much more meaningful and worth having. And that goes for both parties. um and that
Mm-hmm.
requires having a journey. Mom, we spoke about the journey last time, when in terms of writing the book and writing your memoirs. How is it that I was able to
Mm-hmm.
develop this character, and what it is that I've learned about myself that can help me have better relationships, not just romantic relationships, but also um all kinds of other relationships, to get the most out of life when you're sharing with everybody around you, really is the takeaway from the last one. So, is he the one?
Mm-hmm.
The next point I wrote was,
Mm-hmm.
it takes a commitment to you, right? I also talked about this last time. You were just sharing with, when grandpa and grandma were courting, and they courted for this 10-year period of time. Like, that's a long time. Also, he was
Mm-hmm.
really that was a real old school courting. I mean, nowadays people don't
Mm-hmm.
do that at all. And then they wonder, you know why. And so, Mom, I would like for you to speak to, since I am very young in this department, um when
Mm-hmm.
people say, like, famous comment, when they have needs, right? And you want to hold off certain aspects of the relationship, and not focus too much on the sexuality or the sensuality of the relationship, but to build a
Right.
build a friendship, a commitment, a sense of connection outside of that. And that takes time and a little bit of restraint on both parties. And when you don't do that,
Okay.
what happens and why? I think you can speak more to this
Well,
than I can.
I I was sharing earlier about what is meant by love, and even the topic of finding love is an interesting one
Yeah, I
because for me, I don't have to find love. I am love and I am in love. So
mhm.
we were laughing about that before we began, and that has taken a level of maturity to reach to that place. So I'm not searching for love because I've already found love, and the finding of this love, I had to come to that awareness
Mhm.
that I am love and I
Mhm.
am loved and I am loving. And so it's different degrees of energy
Right.
that interfaces depending on who the love is being shared with. And so I had mentioned earlier that in the rites of passage, even before I was born, um, God had already predestined when I was formed in my mother's womb. That's a miracle of who I am. And so I was ushered into this world with loving parents, and it took a village. And so at my birth was my grandmother and several other family members. So that's a beautiful experience that impacts on who I have evolved to. And so I fast forward and we can go backward. I have begun to embrace that and to appreciate that. So I haven't been frantically searching for finding love then. Even if it includes romantic love, and it means that there are things that we have no control over, meaning that it was and is in divine order. And if once I began to recognize that and appreciate that, then there isn't, I have never, I would say I've never, but for most of my life, I haven't been frantic about being with another human being to complete myself,
Right.
because of the upbringing that I had. So the first decade of my life, as I'm writing my memoirs, was very fulfilling and free. You know, I had beautiful relationships with young men, and I had lots of beautiful friends, and I wasn't into this boyfriend girlfriend thing. So I've had to ask myself, what is it that made me feel so secure in this love relationship, that I was able to interface with men, with young men, in a very healthy way through all my life. And so it isn't until I get into becoming a woman, like when I'm becoming aware of becoming a young woman, my sexuality, which was never discussed. In those days, mothers and elders didn't necessarily speak about it openly. And so I heard about this life change through my girlfriends at school, and I was in denial because my mother, whom I trust and love, and my father had never told me anything like that. And I'm not blaming them. I'm just saying that that's the way it was. And I thought they were just telling a bad story. And when it did happen, I was horrified. It wasn't the beautiful experience that it should have been. And so I went through a lot of anguish about that. I went to high school. I was told that if you miss your menses, you are pregnant. So when that happened to me, not knowing the flow of what was going on, I thought I was pregnant, when indeed that was not the case. I mean, I was just horrified, and I remember going to my biology teacher, who was a nun, and she laughed at me. I asked her, and she explained to me the detailing of what it was. So this is all intertwined with the love, and I bring it up because I would have then been settled and calm and embraced and loved myself and my sexuality had I had that kind of orientation. So this is something I want to bring up front, because many times when we're speaking of love, there's a confusion. It's not discussed that there's this aspect of who I am as a girl becoming a woman. I was fed these nursery rhymes and these fairy tale stories that some prince or somebody on a white horse or somewhere will come and take me off into the sunset. So that is something that we need. I would like us to pay attention to in this conversation.
Self-care and self-love, I think that one of the things that I can really hear when you're speaking about self-care and love, and your transition from a young girl to a young woman, and not necessarily the confusion or the secretiveness or the taboo-ness of different aspects of sexuality as you were growing up, is something that still is very predominant today. And I like when I really started to think about this list, like I hope nobody stops this video when I say this now, but I really did not write much about the other person. Most of the things that I wrote as my points have to do with who I had to become as a person in order for me to be okay with me, which is interestingly a conversation that I just finished having with my 15-year-old, because she said to me, I don't feel comfortable being alone. When I'm by myself, I feel lonely and I don't like being by myself. And so we started to uncover that a little bit, and I can identify a lot with what she's going through because I went through it the same way kind of when I was her age. And I think one of the things that helped a lot is this journey of authenticity and commitment to yourself. I said to her in our conversation, when you depend too much on other people for your happiness, or depend too much on people, period, you become their prisoner. You have God, you have yourself, and you're enough. You're enough as you are. And so, what we uncovered, which we didn't answer then, and it's going to take a while to answer, because I believe that for each individual person, not just for each individual woman, but for each individual person, the answer to that question varies. What makes you your authentic self? Because we come into this world like Apollonia right now is in the background, probably playing with all my shoes and belts and just doing her own thing. She's free. She's being herself. She's authentic and individual and not depending on anybody to entertain her or be with her. You know? What happens, or what
Yes.
advice would you give to those women who didn't have such a great childhood or felt lonely within themselves, that they feel like they have to go outside of themselves to find that love and that sense of security? What would you suggest would be some ways that they can not come to terms with, but feel liberated in the power of being with themselves?
Well, I first of all would like to thank you for this conversation and these questions, because that in itself provides the answer that I would give, which is to become aware of what the issues are with oneself is a big step. To have that readiness to recognize I want to be the best that I can be. And I would like to address the issue just as I was beginning to talk about love and age, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no perfect age. There's no one way. It's not a situation of, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, look at all these years I wasted. And some of us have that tendency to speak like that. I believe the older I get in age, the younger I'm getting,
Mm-hmm.
because my attitude is one of looking myself in the mirror, and I am in readiness to do that. And so that is the first step, that step of self-awareness, and that step of making a commitment to explore. And a program like this gives some equipment and skills, because we will not cover everything in this
Yeah,
program.
totally.
However,
Yeah.
it's like going to a restaurant, one becomes aware of what is on the menu sheet, and just listening and sharing ideas of others. It's like we are at oneness with each other, because my story is a reflection of you and your story. And when I say that, not necessarily because I'm your mother and you are my daughter, it's as if we are at oneness with other women
Right.
and also men. I really believe that the male perspective is very interesting and important in this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
because who I evolved had a lot to do. I went to an all boys school when I went to junior college, and listening and being with these guys gave
Oh,
me
I
a lot
like
of
that.
insight and
Right.
confidence
Right.
in myself. So these guys were my friends, and I didn't have a boyfriend girlfriend relationship with any of them, and therefore there was an openness. I could ask them a lot of questions, and they very open questions, and they guided me along the way. I really wanted to deal a little bit with romantic love because that
Mom, excuse me.
often confuses things.
I'm sorry.
In
I
that,
have to.
because as I said, I
Hello.
was
I need to
brought, I
stop you
came
right
into the
there.
world. Sorry?
I need to stop you right there and really just
Okay.
identify with
Okay.
that point. That is such a major point and a great tip. The need for and the use of having male energy, platonic male energy around, especially for somebody like me who didn't have a lot of, well, I'm trying to tell the story differently here, or not try to tell it in a different light. Having a father figure was very important for me, and because that wasn't always very present, I found that one of the greatest things that I ever did was to have male friends so that I could have that male perspective, so that I could have that male attention, because I feel as women, we need that. Um, a lot, and having brothers definitely helped, and having brothers affirm, when you there's something about having a man in your life to affirm and assure you without expecting anything in return, which is the role of the father, is very powerful in helping women to take ownership of their energy in a positive way. And I just want to acknowledge that your yeah, that is very unique to you, that you went to an all boys school, so you were able to see them in their natural habitat, so to speak. So you're like a unicorn in that sense, because we don't even call name with some of the people you went to school with, but these are people who run the country now, right? So these people, uh not intimately, but very well, since childhood years. And so I think that is something that a lot of women who are feeling this level of desperation, as you say, or this need for a partner, can really generate some positive reassurance for themselves and for men as well, to have female friends, and for women to have male friends, because that takes this ideology of romantic love off this pedestal, and it really opens and broadens our horizons to what love really is, which is connecting with one another in a way that is unconditional. Because as a friend, it's like, we're friends, I don't want anything from you. Our love, our relationship is not based on what I can get, but just me being a good human being. And I think that that's what.
I like what you're saying, and I wanted to comment in the sense that I'm a romanticist. I love romantic love. And what you have said is important in the sense that I recognize in my later years, as I have advanced in maturing, that it's okay. Romantic love is okay if you're clear. And I realize that what you mentioned about the energy, the male energy, is important in the sense that that is what I was embracing without compromising myself in the fairy tale land.
Right.
So I had the benefit of because romantic love includes this male energy, that there is this engagement that we are having. That's why people love Valentine's Day and Valentine's,
Right.
Because it's not necessarily that you're grabbing on to somebody, but there's such an atmosphere of love, and it's like we're giving permission to embrace this romantic love. I think it's very beautiful.
Right.
And what I'm saying in terms of the unconditional love is that because I came into this world embraced by a village, a group of people, I was blessed to have that kind of welcome.
Right.
And so I need to share that before I was born, my father wanted a boy, and then when he found out that I'm a girl, they didn't have ultrasound in those days. He was disappointed,
Yeah.
And so thank God for the other people who were present, because I'm sure that as a baby, I could have picked up that
Oh, definitely.
disappointed energy from him. And so eventually, thank goodness, he realized that I wasn't going to go back anywhere. And he adjusted his way of bringing me up to do things that guys did. I mean, like he didn't, like I was not confined to the male rule, woman rule way of being.
Right.
And this, in my book, I'm sharing my memoirs that men in my life, you made such a good point that the men in my life affirmed me. My uncle, there was an uncle, Uncle Joe, would always tell me that I'm a queen. In their house in Dangriga, they had a picture of Queen Elizabeth and the Duke of Edinburgh. Interesting. And he would point to that picture and tell me that I was the Garifuna version of her. So that's very powerful.
So I
And so
think
the
that, Mom,
affirmation of
right.
all these men, my growing up, was very important. And I would like to have that as one of the guides. You asked me about women, what my advice would be. It would be, and as you mentioned earlier, telling the story differently to identify positive role models. There had to be, not every band was negative. Not, there were positive role models around, and many of them maybe would be like surrogate fathers. Like we celebrated Father's Day the other day, and I was sharing with them in our prayer group that that's why we call the priest or the pastor in a Catholic Church father, because he becomes a spiritual father to many people, even elder, that it has nothing to do with age. Everybody calls, he could be 25 when you're calling him a father. So there are godfathers, godmothers, and this is what I would encourage moving forward,
Yeah.
And finally, I want to say it's important to not get caught up in this age thing. Age is a number, and really, because it is, and this is a young lady who shared this with me. Go back into the child in you and to explore from your burden, from your mother's pregnancy. My friend and I were talking about that this morning. What was the demeanor of the parents at your conception? Now, I know, for example, Mehanda, your
I don't want to know
was
this.
a beautiful one. Love, it was a love birth. And therefore,
oh, the birth. Oh, you mean conception. I thought you said conception. I don't know what was it. The answer to that.
What?
I thought you said conception, but you meant birth, like
your birthing, your conception and your birth.
okay.
Right? The relationship between your parents was a beautiful one.
I think,
and that has an impact
definitely
on how you begin. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm just suggesting that women, people go into that knowledge, speak with anybody to find out where you were born, what was happening with your mother, your father at the time. Was it traumatic? These are things that you have internalized, in going through the journey of life. And in my memoirs, it's a powerful impact on me. The first 4 years of my life are very poignant. And so don't take for granted those early years in shaping your love.
Right. I love that. I think what I hear you saying, Mom, is that the love experience or the finding love is really about finding yourself. This becoming is not really a becoming, but it's like a journey. And so that journey is very unique and special, and it takes a commitment to yourself to uncover what that really means. And all aspects of you belong to that uncovering and exploration. Who your parents are, what they were doing, how they felt about each other, what was going on in their lives at the time of your conception and birth. Those things are so powerful for uncovering. And so I've started to really, as I uncover and I continue along my journey of life, I'm starting to really take that seriously with Apollonia and also with myself. I think that when I wrote down, one of my points was spiritual grounding. And you remember when I was 25 years old, not going to tell my age right now, but, and I cut off all my hair and I went on the silent retreat for a week. And, I was doing it Buddhist monk style, trying to really quiet myself and everything else that was going on around me so that I could listen to what God's message was to me, because the commitment to myself was, if I, man aside, as all, let's just put the man aside for a minute. I made a commitment to myself that there is something that I need to listen to first before I complicate things more by bringing another individual into my baggage. And I need to really deal with that. And ladies, you will be dealing with that forever, because the interesting, beautiful thing about having kids and about having a husband is that the people who know you the most have the ability to trigger you the worst. So this, you will learn so much about yourself by having people around you all the time, when you're good and when you're bad and when you're up and when you're down. And that's why spiritual groundedness, spirituality and being committed to your Lord is a way, should become a way of life, because when the ship start for sway, when it gets rough, when the seas get rough in the belly of the whale, then you can know that you have your Lord to cling to. Hallelujah. And that's why that's why I always,
unconditional love.
yes, but as long as it's along the lines of spirit. No, no, I'm just kidding. But the spiritual grounding is my next point, which is that
Yes.
really helps to develop some sort of muscle for the things that are unexpected and the things you have no control over, which is other people, whether those people be your children or your husband or whatever, outside picnic or baby mama or whatever those people, whoever those people are not you. You can't choose the
Right.
people's responses, but you can choose how you respond to these people. Yes, go ahead, mom. Let me just put you
Yeah.
back to the speaker so that you can.
Yeah. I just completed a 40-day cleansing, and
Right,
in
right.
going through this these questions on this journey that you have been relating to, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I discovered in this 40-day cleansing is that I was, for the first time, I'm not living with anyone, any man. And for many years I did not, after my ancestral husband passed, and that would be 20 plus years. And I was saying, well, I didn't because I was dealing with children and family and work and so on. However, when I began to really spend the time with myself and be honest, I realized that I had a fear of going through many of the things that we have just discussed.
Right.
And
Mm. Mm.
the
Okay.
shift, a
I
major
like
shift,
that.
I didn't find love, love found me. Because the more I have good friends. This is what I'd suggest to ladies, I had very good friends who were concerned about me, and I gave them permission to raise concerns, to be able to tell me about them. And one of my friends was looking at me and she said, well, um, wouldn't you want to be with someone? How come you are not with anyone? Your children are grown. Wouldn't you want to have a companion? And so I laughed. I just thought that was so ridiculous, because what I was saying to myself, I'm very content with who I am, and I really am. I've had a good life. And so, just to get her off my back, I just said, okay then, And I agreed. She said she gave me a challenge. She said, like, within the next year, let us agree that you and I, because she was in the same situation like me, let us agree that we will be seeing somebody or be talking with some man. And I honestly, it wasn't coming from my heart. I was like, okay, all right. And but I agreed with her because it's my friend.
Mhm.
And within a couple of weeks of doing that, there was a shift in my life. A friend of mine who I've known for 20 years reached out to me and said he would come and visit me. And I panicked. I literally panicked because now I was being held accountable to really look myself in the mirror about having a relationship of a different kind, an intimate relationship with a man. And then what was interesting at the same time that I made that declaration, it was very weak and very light, but weak and as light as it was,
Mm, mm.
a lot of guys showed up in my life,
Yeah.
and they didn't know each other, they were from different parts of my life. And so I just say that to say that the issue is not so much what another person does or says, meaning a man coming to look for you or for you being in search of. Once
Mm.
I was in readiness or opened that willingness of my heart to engage with a man, then something in the universe, something divine, something opened up. It wasn't like I started to make 100 phone calls and go on any
Yeah.
date.com or anything like that. So I really want to introduce that
That ideology.
dimension which I
Yeah.
cannot explain,
Yeah.
which has to do
I
with a
think
divine connection
I think that I can
where
identify.
God is waiting for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
sincere and open and honest
Yes.
with yourself. So you don't
Yes.
have to
Yes.
frantically
Yes.
bite your nails and
Yes.
wait for a man to show up or go to
Mm. Mm.
places to look for a man.
I like that so much because it really speaks to when I met Simon. You remember the story when Francis was with me
I
and I was
remember,
on this
yes.
horrible date and Simon just showed up and I had literally just walked past him and said to him and said to Francis, that guy could be my husband, and I just said it just like
Wow.
that. Yeah, and I walked on about my business. He's like, I said to him, that's husband
Wow.
material, but
But
he
be
was walking.
careful what you say.
Be careful what you say. You just might get it because I never thought I would see him again. He just walked in the opposite direction. But in this moment, it is so hard to explain. Like you said, it's just this moment of total openness where was
Surrender.
in that split second, I had surrendered to the idea, to the just the idea of him being
Yes.
somebody that would be nice to be married to opened up the possibility.
That's
He
beautiful.
came back to the
That's beautiful.
restaurant. He spoke to me. I rejected him, but he was persistent and I continued, and so we ended up together. Um that level of energy drawing takes, for a lot of people and for myself as well, complete surrender, because there've been two times that I can consciously remember, mom, where I was in complete surrender, where a shift happened in my life because I was in complete surrender. And so now my advice to everybody, the relationship or not, when you want something, is to practice that that shift and that openness, because
Right.
that will bring
Right.
that will bring what you want into your
I
life.
hear you.
And I
I like
want to
that.
make a decision, because I want to make advice to women out there because of that, because there is a difference between wanting and wanting. It's almost like when you want something, like you're groveling, like, oh, I'm so desperate and I got a man and I'm so lonely, and that's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm just like, I didn't, like, remember, you heard what I just said, ladies? I didn't think I would see him again. I only focused
Okay.
on that moment where I was just like, yes. The answer to the question is yes. There was no strings attached. There was no anxiety. There was no
Right.
fear. There was just
Right.
total 100% openness. And in that moment,
Right.
that what wanted me, what I wanted me.
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and that
I really I
that
want to
is the
speak to that
magnetism. That
because
is
that embrace of yourself, because what has happened to me, like I am very capable of saying I love you to anyone, and that I feel that sincerity and that love comes from me because I embrace and hug and I love myself.
mhm.
And so I exude that love. So because when I was speaking with my friend now, and it was a shift to being open to meet or to receive the male energy, I had already loved and hugged myself.
Right.
And so now I'm open to receive. So when I'm in conversation with a man who has an interest in me, although I was terrified in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
I can say that I love him without holding him at ransom. This is the
Right,
unconditional part.
right, right.
This is not
That
like,
is
now
so
I
good.
have met you, now you are need to marry me like next year or
Yes,
within two
yes,
years.
yes. You,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
basically I
You
have
are
married
there. You're
myself.
Yes,
And
yes. I
if
love that. I love that.
that
And
is, if we are to take our relationship to that level, that is going to flow in the same way that
mm-hmm.
we met in the first
Right,
place.
right,
So it
right.
wasn't because it came out of an authentic, my loving myself and finding myself and continuing to do so.
Yes,
So
yes.
I don't feel like I won't feel jealous or oh well, you can't talk to an ex lady, or nor do I at least in this stage or even ever.
Oh yeah.
Why
I'm so proud of
I
you.
why is he talking to another lady, or him to say, why are you talking to a man? Meaning that, because then with that comes a level of transparency and
Mm-hmm.
trust,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Because you are both. It goes
and
back
that
to
is the
the
unconditionality of love.
yeah. It goes back to the authenticity and to the amazingness of the person. You don't have to be worried about who your man is talking to if he's an amazing guy, because you already know that comes with the territory. Everybody he's somebody to want, but you also know that he's not an opportunistic, egotistical person who takes those opportunities. So you can rest assured that he will still be your man at the end of the day. And if he's that type of man who does that kind of thing, then he's doing you a favor by going about his way. So you're always at peace. Be at peace. Always
Can
at
I say
peace.
something about ego? You use the word ego.
Yes. And
Ego
then we have to close in like
means
a few minutes.
edging God out. So that I just
Yes.
wanted to.
I love it. I love it. What?
Once God is in the mix, your love.
What
People
does the E
look
stand
at me
for?
now and they would say you have such a glow about you, and I say, so they want to like insinuate that I am with some man daily or whatever, fairy tale
Right, right,
nails
right,
and bone
right.
type of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
interaction. And I say to them, yes, because I am in love with life. I am truly,
Mhm.
authentically in love. And so even like I'm talking to you as my daughter, my grandchildren, my friend, it is complete,
Mhm.
deep,
Mhm.
and beautiful. And so a relationship with a man, to have a relationship, an intimate relationship, if that is to be, it will be, or when that is to be, it will be. It's not that I'm
Yeah.
waiting with bated breath
You're not
for that
groveling.
to happen,
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's important for each of us to come to that place
Right.
of awareness and comfort.
Yeah, yeah. Be at peace. Be at peace. And so I would like to close off by saying that it takes therapy sometimes. As though I have spoken with you, Mom, at great length. You wrote me the script
Yes.
we, I do this for my daughter as well. I give her the script and I talk to other young women. This is part of what we do, is we have
Right.
these kinds of healing facilitating conversations, so you know what to say when they call with this chop headness. We have these conversations.
Don't do that.
So it takes therapy. It may take therapy. It doesn't have to, but that's why we have priests. That's why we have
Yes.
all these roster of people who are
Yes.
available to counsel us. So that people know that we were not hatched. We have people who you threw down the steps. I'm sorry, people who you interviewed, and who
Right.
you spoke to so that they could earn the right to be in my presence. And
Yeah.
it takes
Perhaps
it
and the
just
next
I'm not
conversation
done.
we can
And
have is the cultural dimensions of courtship and
yes,
life,
I
because there are
love
lots of
that. I love that.
um,
Can I just finish?
principles
Can
that
I
are
finish, mom?
positive. Go ahead, please.
um and hold on to that point so you can say that at the end. It takes
Okay.
clarity. It takes a positive outlook, which is something that you just said. Treating your relationships like a job or a child. So cherish those that you love and that love you, and make sure that you are treating everyone the way you want to be treated. So it takes clarity, ladies. Be clear, not about, well, it's important to be clear about what you want, but also to be clear about who you are, where your boundaries lie.
Mm,
It takes a positive outlook, like you say, be at peace, be happy, be joyful, be in the moment, and not so desperate and anxious. Be anxious for nothing, like my mom likes to say. And it takes relationships to be treated like a job or like a child, with care and love and respect. Okay, mom, I
mm.
am complete. So can you please go sign us
Oh, you
off?
want me? You want me
Yeah,
to
yes,
stay? Or you want me
finish.
to go
Yeah, finish.
somewhere?
No, finish saying what you were gonna say. I just wanted to run down the list.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I think we could have a conversation about some of the wisdom of the culture
Ah,
and the
yes,
rites of
yes.
passage.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
like
idea.
the Garifuna culture for that reason. There's a lot of wisdom, like allowing the elders and family to be involved. Because when you marry a family, and
Mm-hmm.
there's certain protocols that I think should be discussed before.
Mm,
I also believe that the importance of spending time with yourself, taking care of yourself, learning more about yourself is going to be very really revealing, and it's an ongoing journey. It's a
mm.
lifetime journey. So
Yeah.
just be upfront in the beginning when deciding to make commitment. To be
Mm.
honest with the person and say, guess what? This is this is who I am, and can we agree that we're going to have a mechanism in place? So that's
Right.
part of the
I love that.
preparation
That's
before
good.
marriage, or even before and deciding to get intimate with someone takes time, and it's a lifetime. And then the other thing I wanted to conclude is that, as someone asked this question, can you have a relationship with your ex? Can you be a friend with your ex? And for me, the answer is yes. If the answer is no, even if not to be a friend, but to have some kind of relationship contact, if the answer is no, then that is something that we need to delve into, because there needs to be closure to whatever it was that disconnected that relationship. Is it an issue of forgiveness, or is it an issue? What is the issue? Because I draw to me what I put out. So that person is to some extent a reflection of who I am or
Yes.
who I was at
Yes.
that time.
Yes. And say it loud and again, so everybody could hear. The person is a reflection of some element of you. Hallelujah. Praise the
Yeah, so the
Lord.
person is a reflection of who I am. We mirror each other, so we are
Mm.
at oneness. So
I love
that
it.
thing
I
that
love
we
it.
don't like about that person is a reflection of something in ourselves that needs to be released, and that's what the purge is about. As we're taking, it's like taking the log out of your own eye,
Mm-hmm.
and don't tell. Let's tell the story different, girls. The
Yeah.
story is not what he did
Yes.
to me and what he did or what he didn't
What
do,
I
but what
allowed
I
him to
allow
do.
and how I'm becoming.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it, Mom. Such gems of wisdom dropped in this segment. I am just thrilled. I am going to be uploading this later on, so you will have access to it. So, girls and guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We will keep it tasty, juicy, spicy, and interesting for everyone. Mom, thank you so much for joining us, and we can
Thank
divulge
you.
next time into certain cultural dynamics revolving around dating. I love that because being in an intercult let me use the PC word intercultural relationship where people don't introduce their wife to their friend just like this person just follows me around,
Okay.
anyways, just to name one
Yeah.
one one
Thank you.
difference. But that I think would be
Thank you.
something super interesting to divulge into, so we can get into that next topic. Thank you so much, Mom. I really appreciate you coming on
You're welcome.
on the on with us. And if you guys are interested in talking or seeing listening to more about how I met my husband and what our relationship was like, is like, will be like, please, it's on my website as well. I will try to link it down below, or try to get my daughter to help me with that. So thank you for joining us, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.